Hi, I'm Pete Farmer, and this is kind of a longer form video on getting your FootDrum out of the box, and then what do you do? So in this case, I have a 50-pound 9-pedal FootDrum that is in its Detroit-made soft case. It has a nice little liner on the inside, and it's a 3-piece unified construction. It's really actually quite nice. We do make our own cymbal bags, of which I have a Monarch Sabian XSR. This one's 17 inches. I really like it because it can almost just fit inside of that bass drum head, and it's got a nice little sweet ride sound to it. Let's see what else I got. I got our cord that'll be for the thing, and we got a couple drumsticks, and in this case a little brush. So put that soft case to the side that we sell separately. And I'm going to take this out of its box, out of its case. This FootDrum you can kind of set down in any one of these directions. This one has 4 rubber feet right here. It also has these middle flange nuts that you can put it on its side without really affecting much of it. You can even put it like that. It's just resting on the claws of the bass drum. Most people carry it like that. You can also grip by the handles any which way you want. First thing we got to do is to get our bass drum off. There is a green knob right here, and you're simply going to go counterclockwise, and you're just going to pull that out. And if you look down here, you'll notice that we have this bracket with the foot, and it is in between kind of this rubber foot and this area. So I'm going to put that in. There's just a bracket right there. And that bracket is going to be holding that claw right in that area. And then when you come back up and take a look at your rod, that's when you want to line up that rod and kind of just edge it in, or you can even loosen that up and bring that out a little bit, make that easier to put in and get that engaged. I might bring that down here, tighten that up, tighten that up. So this is usually how it comes stowed. You could obviously do different configurations because that area looks to me it would be kind of vulnerable, and where we're keeping our Omni mount that comes with that 9-pedal drum. So I'm just going to go ahead and do it again. I take it off, I unclip it from this side, and I'll set this aside. While I have this in this view, these hi-hats are connected with this green thumb bolt pushing the rod, the push rod, through there. So as I loosen it up, I'm going to take 1, 2, maybe 3 turns, and when I bring it up and I turn that drop clutch on or off, you can now have that ease. So again, when you go for stow mode, push your hats down, turn your thing, and now the hats are in their locked position. Great way to get about when you're on the go. Okay, so now that we have our cymbals out, we're going to install our bass drum. So taking this bass drum, knowing that we have these 2 stubs of 10.5 millimeter rod sticking out, we're going to find these 2 holes down here, and we're going to try to ease them in one after the other. I'm going to loosen that up, make sure it's loose, and I go to the other. And I'm going to sort of put these in their place for right now. You just want to make sure that your counter hoop is touching where your felts are, right there onto the side. Now on this right outer pedal, or toe post I should say, of this 9-pedal, I have an egg shaker. And I'm going to keep that leg in because right now I'm just going to keep it an egg shaker for this demonstration purposes. But of course you can undo your lever with a quick release and redo it and take these things in and out, because again, you've been afforded a couple different drumsticks in order to play whatever it is you have mounted out there. On to the other side, let's take a look. We have where that cymbal mount was. And in this case, I'm going to take out the jingle stick because I want to put in a drumstick that's going to play an externally mounted cymbal. In this case, again, we have that 17-inch Sabian XSR Monarch, which to me is kind of a sweet ride. So we got to find out where this position is. If you watch the overview guide to the drum, you'll notice me trying to set that up, and there's various ways you can do it. And in this case, I'm kind of going for one of the bigger cymbals. So I'm going to undo the wing nut, and I'm going to pull off the felt. Keeping my hand there, I'm going to gently bring that up, put the felt back on, put the metal washer back on, and then turn that M8 thumb nut onto the rod. Kind of have it set a little bit there, and I want to do that all the way until it bottoms out on the plastic, because you don't want this to be too wobbly. And now I'm just trying to aim for that position as where this stick on its downward motion would want to be. And I'm kind of vibing that it's maybe like right there. So I'm going to go ahead and set everything in motion, or lack of motion. I'm going to set these things tight and realize I have my drum key here, and just make sure this is where I want it. Now again, I set this up so it's going to be like that. I like it. That cymbal is now set up. Your hi-hats are awake. That stick has been set up to hit the top of the hi-hat. And that, of course, is done with your 4mm Allen wrench if you wanted to change how that stick is hitting that top hi-hat. The bass drum. Now, the bass drum we quickly could talk about. I'm going to make sure that's tight so it stays in position, but I'm going to take this bass drum off really quick and show you that with this bass drum, you can change the sound quite easily to a punchier sound. This punchier sound is from the denser felt, or a little slappier, punchier sound with this wood smacking the head. This is the softest of the three, but just for fun, we're going to put it towards the kind of more standard felt. And I'll put that bass drum back on. In the same way that I just took this bass drum off in order to get at inside of the drum, it's the same way with this snare. Once I took that little thumb bolt off, I can bring that up. And in this case, I'm going to loosen the strap up, and I'm going to be able to get at all my parts inside. So what I have here is all the drumsticks set up. We have a snare drag right there. We have our two sticks coming up, and of course that one is hitting the bottom side of our hi-hat, egg shaker, ride cymbal. So putting that back on, get to there, put our safety strap on. I might lock that down if I like the position that it's in and I want to keep it nice and sturdy. And there you go. So now that you kind of have everything set up, you're ready to play. Well, except for one thing. While you can stand on this drum, I highly would not recommend it. This would be a fun way to play it. So 99.9% of our players, 0.99% of our players will say that sitting down is the best way to do it. Now, because we're kind of conjoining, what we're going to show you a little bit more and talk more about is the stool along with the foot drum. We've designed just a quick little rope reference that'll be coming with your foot drum. I have a little loop right here, and I have a little loop that's made with this adjustment feature right here, and then it takes up some of the slack. So I'm going to slip these on underneath the rubber feet. Cinch it up, and on this other side, and then I just tighten the loop on that one. Now I'm pretty well connected to the two. I'm going to put this around my stool. Now I know for a fact this foot drum is not going to slip away. If I was on a rug, it probably wouldn't slip away. If maybe I had set up our spikes that are underneath here, it probably wouldn't slip away. So now you have this connection with a stool. Now, the way that I would suggest playing is that generally speaking, you're looking for probably a little less or a little greater than 90 degrees on the angles of the legs, which means my knees might be going down just a little bit. Now, I've looked at a lot of different players. Some players really like to be sitting up really tall and just perching their bottom on top of that so that their leg weight is a little bit more over the drum. I've seen people play really short drums and they just really kick back and kind of lean back into it. I'm kind of probably somewhere in the middle. I like to keep a little bit of a distance in between me and the drum so that it's a little bit out further, so that I feel like I'm kind of pushing in that direction as opposed to kind of being cramped up and having to really stretch that muscle out. Some of that is just about the comfort that you might find with your muscles over time. To me, I'd say this is about 12 inches away from the front of the chair leg. And I like this kind of feel. It feels like I want to be comfortable in what I'm doing. I like a chair back that rests for your back, because the way I kind of play is I tend to want to lean back a little bit and just feel the weight a little bit more in the back and letting the legs sort of relax as much as they can. A couple other things when you consider this relationship of comfort. I've done it where when I'm leaning back, I want to have a four-legged stool, and I want to have that height, you know, maybe between the 18 inches above the back of the drum. Now the back of the drum right here is about 8 inches, maybe 9 if you're in the middle area there. So those 9 inches plus the 8 inches that you would have as a regular, or sorry, 18 inches of a regular stool. You have 18 plus 9, you're basically looking at 27 inches. And right here, I'm exactly at 27 inches. So the stool height can be 27, 35, it could be whatever it is that feels good, but probably not much lower than that 24-inch mark is my guess for most people. Another aspect to your drum that we built in was the angle to which it's resting. Now, this is kind of in a wedge position, and I get for some people, it sort of just changes the way you play. If you wanted to bring the back end of your drum up a little bit, we built in the feature that you can take off your two legs. And again, you can see how to do this in the overview guide for this drum, and you extend this leg about 1.5 inches. So for really simplicity's sake, and maybe you could do the same at home, is just get a couple 2x4s, put them in the back feet, and then you can kind of see what we're getting at here. We're trying to increase our back of our drum just a little bit more. And I might say that that feels a little bit better, but now actually I'd probably want to raise my seat up about the same amount, which is about 1.5 inches. And it'll just lead to some different dynamics. And this is about you getting comfortable with your drum right now. So you can try out to see if this kind of gives you a little bit more comfort the way that everything is angled out. Again, with a backing, 4 legs, I feel nice and solid. Now the way I interact with this, it could be that I have playing with my socks. My Farmer FootDrum socks in this case. And that allows me to have that really tactile feel. And that tactile feel means I can feel where that pedal is. I can find the little subtleties in that. I might be playing a little bit more with my bigger toe and my curling up my smaller toes for a really interesting kind of dynamic play. Now, right now I'm playing 4 pedals, and I'm doing it with my toes, with my forefoot, with my heel, and my other side of my heel. It's going to be a silent play because, of course, you're just interacting with the pad of your foot, cushioning of a well-cushioned Farmer FootDrum sock or an athletic style, just so you're not getting those hard hits dug into your skin too much. However, I do like playing with a shoe, and I like the shoes that have a nice smooth surface to the bottom. By no means the only way to play. I've seen people with cowboy boots hammering away at these things, Molly Jane, or just old Doc Martens, Cam Cole, and they're playing about as heavy as they can. So feel in that sense kind of goes out the window. But if you have a good comfortable shoe, and maybe you have a guitar, it's sitting across your lap, and for whatever reason that guitar is interacting with your leg that is trying to move freely and without that feeling. You just get yourself a guitar strap, and you bring that guitar strap up and your guitar up maybe a little bit, and they're going to be separate for all that they do. By all means, I certainly do like to play, even with a lap style. I can still play with a guitar on my lap. So it's not limiting as you think with your legs moving up and down. You can do a lot of action with the subtleness of just an inch or two perhaps at the most. There are people out there who are going to be playing this thing as heavy as they want, but you know, to each their own. You guys will figure it out. So what do? You've got your guitar, you got your strap connected to your stool. Your stool's feeling comfortable. The drum is everything you want to do to play. What are you going to start? How are you going to approach this instrument for the first time? My suggestions are a few things. Is it really, you're entertaining people with your 10 fingers and your 35 frets and your 6 strings and your 2 arms. It's really just about trying to make sure that this stuff is the interactive things that you want to hear. And in this case, I got a steady beat with my thumb, so I might just walk down the street with my feet. I got a heel and a toe on the right foot. And on the left foot, I'm just keeping a hi-hat time. Once you kind of feel that pulse, might be off to the races, but really a lot of drumming is just keeping it simple and steady. So use the KISS method in this case. Keep it simple and steady. Some of the complications you might have is just really actually by doing simple things. So I'm going to do that same heel toe action, keeping all of my weight either on my heel like it is now or on the forefront of my foot, which is playing the bass. So I'm not having to lift my leg at all. I'm just really going down, down, down. Now look, when I move my foot over, same pattern. So really keeping it simple, you might actually find there's a lot of interesting things. I'm going to drop that clutch. Now I'm going to do that same pattern. So really, finding the groove is the ultimate goal on any of this. Find your rhythm, find the touch of these instruments. They're all, for the most part, magnetically driven, meaning there's the friction is trying to be reduced to a minimum on all these pedals. So really, just that little subtleness of your foot can translate into a world of percussion sounds. And when you're ready to step off of this, keep it simple and steady train, there's lots of risks and rewards to be had. So you can follow our education series after that and learn a little bit more about kind of how to play this instrument once it gets all set up.